Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome on back to the Summit 4 North American Qualifiers. We're going to be taking a look at what could potentially be the definitive, determinative, and all other things starting with the letter D match here, as we're taking a look at a 2-0 lead for Digital Chaos over Root Gaming. I am at Lyrical Dota, joined today by Tralf. How are you doing, and what are you looking forward to in this next set of games here?
Well, hopefully a change here for Root Gaming because they need something different than what they've been trying the last two games. They need a little bit stronger team play. They need to be working together. They have Radiant again. They had. I never really follow who takes what in terms of first pick or side. Maybe you know a little bit better, but they need to make sure DC don't run off with the Aegis and do great things with it because they've been doing that the last two games of this series. They've just been controlling Roshan. Their movements as a team have been very deliberate to add on to the D words, and they've just looked really, really good centered around the Aegis. They've been making good plays around the Aegis. They actually get the Lich now, which is banned out the first two games. Root Gaming now take the Wyvern away from them, but DC, I think, are going to feel comfortable with the Lich Gyro. Gyro for the third game in a row as well.
This is actually going to be the first Lich that we've seen so far. It's kind of interesting there. You mentioned that. Shadow Fiend, Doom, Queen of Pain, Slardar, Winter Wyvern Tusk. It's kind of, again, felt like there's just been a few of these little changes, and this time Root are going to be the ones with that Winter Wyvern. It's kind of been a game changer, I feel like, in each of the ones. Maybe last game slightly less so. I'm also going to mention that I don't know if we quite caught that, but the Visage at the end of that last game, like you were mentioning, taking on down the barracks and then the resummon on the birds to secure the stun on top of the Slark. I'm just still thinking about that and how cool that was. The Huskar is going to be banned out. Not wanting any of that cheese, as Digital Chaos are feeling pretty comfortable with where they're at.
Yep, no cheese here. And I think we need to see, quite frankly, a little bit better play from the support duo here from Root. I haven't seen really much of them get involved. The first game we saw, unfortunately, Stan King not be able to get much done with the Lion. I think that was more more had to do with just his place in that draft at that time. I think he did as well as he could with the cards he was dealt. But the Lena didn't really seem to do much for me for Derp Derp, and then last game he played Tusk, which didn't really get all that much done either. I think we need to see a little bit more deliberate play and some better ideas in terms of what they need to do in the early game from Root Gaming support squad.
Yeah, definitely. I think you go back, you harken back to that first game, the Lena who decided to go down to the off lane, help on out down there. It meant that they were able to come on over and stack up the ancient camp more. But Digital Chaos responding to this, they end up placing a very deep ward. They're able to come on over and take the fight, take out the TA two times in quick succession, and just turn around the whole dynamic of that game because you invest very heavily in being able to get this stack and making sure that your TA is going to have a good start, and then it just doesn't end up working out. And then in the second game also, I just felt like it was a good, solid, well executed game plan by Digital Chaos, as well as great rotations. This is also going to leave us with the Dazzle banned out, as is the Undying. Broodmother is going to be banned as well. So Digital Chaos really not wanting to lose to any of those sort of strategies where one hero can all of a sudden destroy your face. Trying to play this one as straight up as you possibly can. This does leave open a couple other heroes in the pool that can be picked if they wanted to. We haven't seen a Darkseer, I don't think, this series. Something that people haven't been prioritizing super heavily, apparently. Alchemist also conspicuously not touched.
Huh, yeah.
Any other heroes that sort of are sparking your interest?
Um, Trying to think off the top of my head. I mean, those are. I didn't even think about Alchemist, but yeah, he hasn't been touched. I haven't seen too much success in NA Dota with Alchemist, to be frank.
Yeah.
The only teams I feel like run him properly are honestly the South American, specifically Peruvian teams.
Yeah.
When I've seen the North American squads try to run him, it just I never see it work out. But yeah, maybe that's why we're not seeing him in this series. But Wind Ranger picked up now this time for Root. There's a Clockwork. We haven't seen that.
He's been banned out most times. It seemed like they haven't been wanting to give him that option, and with the gyrocopter clockwork combo, that is disgusting. That's a lot of damage, and of course, if you end up catching two people in that, being able to throw on out a chain frost as well, it's just going to be a bad time in the pain train. This to me looks like it could be pretty devastating. I like the Wind Ranger pick. Obviously, there isn't a Slardar there as well to be able to amplify up the damage with the minus armor that comes out that way, but still an incredibly strong hero. And you mentioned it multiple times in the cast that you felt like this is a hero that is always going to be relevant and can really punish you for any moment of poor positioning and just take advantage of it.
Which hero was that? Sorry, the
Wind Ranger.
the Wind Ranger. Yep. She's always relevant. The Shackles is good from start to finish. So, yep, very, very strong. Very, very good mid laner. With the nerfs to all the mid laners that have been so strong, namely like Leshrac and Storm, even Lena, it just kind of makes the ones that weren't really nerfed that much stronger, like Wind Ranger. So she's going to be good. Lich, it's a little strange to see Lich Clockwork. It's not like your typical offlane duo. Um, that's not to say Lich can't just like kind of sit mid and help out mid for a little bit, deny creeps there, stack a little bit. Um, I mean, Lich can kind of go anywhere. I always thought for the longest time, like, you pick a Lich, it frees up the enemy to go for an aggressive tri-lane. Because, haha, got you now. Lich is going to go dual lane off lane. We're going to take advantage of that and go tri-lane top or bottom or wherever you're laning. But Lich is actually not that bad of a laner in a tri-lane. I know it's thought of as, like, kind of weak, but if you're starting out in a dual lane, Lich gets level 3 faster than the enemy tri-lane supports will, because they're sharing experience among 3 heroes, whereas you're getting, you're sharing it because just with one other hero, and you're getting additional experience with a deny. So if you transition back up to like your safe lane, then you're actually going to be at a huge level advantage, and then you can exploit that with a higher damage nuke in your Frost Blast. So it's actually not that bad to transition into a tri-lane. So you can't really do, at least I think, these weird tri-lanes against a Lich if you rotate properly. So something to think about. Crystal Maiden picked up now for Root. Haven't seen that hero. I love this hero. I think it's really, especially as a core player, like if you're a core player specifically playing a strength hero, it feels so great not having to rely on like ferrying out clarities or buying a bottle when you don't want to, because that aura is just so beneficial.
Definitely. And being able to have a big team fight presence as well. Obviously it's not the best with the Winter Wyvern because you get the 70% reduction from Winter's Curse, but still being able to just have it channeled for at least a little while and burst somebody down, and then after the fact a couple of explosions might end up happening as well. It's all good. Tiny picked up. Do you just have to ban the IO at this point? I kind of feel like you do. Yeah, okay.
Well, they do. Yeah. I, Wisp is definitely good. Their lanes would be very, very strong. So I don't think there's anything wrong with banning that at all. But I feel like DC were maybe like if their whole strategy was like we need to get our Wisp tiny, they did it way too late because obviously it's going to get banned out in the 5th position, right?
Yeah.
So I think they're probably okay with that. Like they probably expected that to come out.
Well, I'm curious if they're going to have another support now that they were hoping to be able to get through the pool, that because they end up having that IO band. I mean, Tiny, he, for a long time at the beginning of the patch, he was the highest win rate hero with over 30 games played, just because of how good IO Tiny was, but then also being relevant even when that hero wasn't picked. He doesn't have the highest win rate anymore. I think I want to say it's somewhere around like 19 and 16 or something without IO. Still not bad. But I'm curious what the second support is. Maybe you end up seeing something where you're tossing a hero around in the early stages to get that initiation that you wouldn't be able to find otherwise. Is that something that's just too gimmicky, or is that a relevant idea?
I think it's relevant. Sorry, I'm reconnecting one more time. Someone was saying in chat that I still wasn't showing up in Dota TV, so I switched it again. The like 3rd time back to party this time, and then restarted. It was making the symbol where it was like showing up.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
reborn
struggle with these things. I know.
Yeah. So the toss on in is like
Sorry.
maybe
Yeah.
maybe an instant initiation hero. Probably not going to be techies, but occasionally hand grenade is popped out.
Yeah. That's always a fun combo, right? I mean, they didn't really. You have to refresh my memory. They didn't really nerf the suicide of techies, right? Like that's still pretty potent.
Yeah, it is. But
Anyway.
yeah. Chaos Knight.
Whoa. Last time I saw this hero, for me personally, it was Archon running it as like a support, and it did not work out. I don't think it's gonna be support here though. Like they
Mm-mm.
already have tons of support heroes, so.
I think now as well with Earthshaker still in the pool with I mean that's the big one that pops out in my mind. Do you even need to do that though? Like maybe a lot committed. And maybe then if you do end up running an Earthshaker, if they wanted to go a little bit more aggressive in the off lane there, they have the ability to, because obviously once you toss out a Fissure with level 1 Earthshaker, it's somewhat less capable of being effective. But Witch Doctor, all right.
I think this is gonna, and then Yuara is taking the tiny. Now this is where mind games come into play because if I'm looking at Root's draft right now from DC's perspective, I'm thinking they go aggro, like with CK, Crystal Maiden, Winter,
Hmm.
and then and they're scared of the weird Lich dual lane off lane. So how do you combat that? Well, let's throw a hero that doesn't really die that can still get experience safely. That would be a Tuskar, Wind Ranger mid. So if you're DC, do you just go like tiny solo mid with like Gyro Lich bottom and then try to anticipate that by throwing the Clockwork up in the safe lane? I'm not quite sure, but this is where mind games come into play. I'm pretty sure DC wants to dodge any kind of tri-lane that comes their way, but the good thing is the ball is in Root's court, like because DC can move around a lot easier with the Lich, whereas if Root gets stuck into this kind of tri-lane, it's a little bit harder for them to move around.
Hmm.
Strictly speaking, from the movement speed aspect, like Crystal Main is super slow. I think Wyvern is one of the slower heroes in the game too. Let me double check that. Yeah, 285 movement speed. So just from a logistical standpoint of actually physically moving around, it's difficult for Root to do so. This is a very fast level 1 smoke, by the way, coming out from Root.
Yeah, very interesting. They have the snowball leveled up, so they're ready to try and take this fight. They're very potent at being able to take level 1 engagements, depending upon how this ends up going here. But we will see in a second. I'm imagining they're just going to move right on up this way and see if they can find somebody. Uh, the other thing that, of course, we've been seeing more often now is heroes and teams being willing to switch up their lanes more often because of the change to TP gold and how much that costs. Oh, Biryu
Oh,
is going to end up getting found out. The snowball forward catches him there. They don't have. Oh, there's the 2 second stun. That's going to be enough to kill, I think.
I was a little scared that he didn't take everyone with him at first, but they were able to get that nice quick stun from Willis. So, and it was a 2 second one at that. And I think he got like top damage on it too. The range of damage that you get is pretty insane. Minimum 75, maximum 200.
Ugh.
So you can really hit the jackpot there if you get that level 1 200 damage nuke. It's pretty insane.
Yeah. Well, I'll do a quick little introduction of the players as we do move our way on into this next set. Schwan is going to be playing on that Tusk for Root. We have Willis is going to be playing on the CK. Stan King is going to be playing on the Crystal Maiden. Moving on up towards the top lane here, 747 on the Wind Ranger. And last but not least, Derp with the Winter Wyvern. Now, something to keep in mind, because they did end up all smoking up and moving towards the top lane, this somewhat reveals that, hey, the aggro is going up top, and they're going to send all of the rest of DC supports as well as this gyrocopter down to the bottom lane.
Yeah, this is kind of what I expected. And Bulba's doing some cog blocking up in the top lane to give himself a little bit of an easier time. Um, his pole camp's blocked, but I don't think that really matters. He's just trying to soak up experience, and then it's important that DC get early TPs because what we could see happen is like a very, very, very deep dive coming in early on from Root. But if you dive too early on and there's TP rotations, you could take a lot of damage from that tower, and it can actually get turned on to you. So I think it's very important that Aoi buys the TP scroll right away, maybe even the Lich too, but he's kind of parked up in mid, taking the role of the Wisp.
Yeah. Well, and he's going to ensure that, you have a pretty good lane here. Obviously, Tiny isn't the strongest laning hero ever. If you're able to find somebody with that Avatos combo, it's wonderful. But otherwise, it can be a little bit difficult. And considering that he has been getting that buff recently in 6.85 to the starting mana that you end up having, he is going to be able to toss out both of those spells very, very early. So there's always that danger, but I think barring a very poor positioning on the Wind Ranger's part, they shouldn't be able to find a kill here.
It's going to get much more difficult when Lich gets 3, though, because
Okay.
I don't think that you can withstand that kind of nuke. Oh, actually, he's because of that first blood, his gold is very, very high, and he's got his bottle already, so that's really, really good for his sake. Because this lane is not easy. Stun coming out from Yawar. Can he get the toss back? No. One of the other problems of Tiny, although he did get buffed in terms of stats like you were mentioning, is he's very, very slow until he gets boots in that grow. Cancels the South, but it's not going to matter too much because he's got the bottle coming out. But yeah, 285 movement speed for the tiny. Before he gets the boots, it's difficult to kind of run at someone and get an effective toss back.
Yeah, definitely. Well, so far, Clockwork, as you mentioned,
Oh,
the
owie.
we're
Taking a
gonna
lot of
get
damage with the DD from Tusk.
this might actually be a kill. Oh, the shards didn't block off, and the salve away. Oh man, that was really close. If you end up hitting that, I actually don't know if you can fully block that cliff off. It is a little bit wide now.
Yeah, no, you can't. But he definitely, I think, maybe could have got a little bit more damage if he positioned the shards a bit differently. But it was close. He already used his snowball. But I just noticed because the damage was insane onto the Witch Doctor, who I don't think has much armor. Yeah, actually 0. But he has 2 complements of the Basilisk Ring.
Yeah. Oh, top lane. It looks like they might be trying to go on in on top of Bulba here. He does have Cog, so we'll be fine, and that's going to be Arctic Burn used as well. So long duration on that one, and while you are going to be able to apply this pressure and keep the Clockwork at a low level, everybody for Root is going to be somewhat low level as well. The CM obviously can move on into the jungle and take on out a few of those camps, but it's a bit of a problem nonetheless. Clockwork level 2, the CK has been able to get level 3 and actually close to level 4, about halfway there. Crystal Maiden just hitting level 3 and Derp still at 1. So experience-wise, if we take a look at how this has all worked itself out, DC has been able to get a good amount. 300 gold lead. It's not super significant, but maybe might translate into some of these kills in the other lanes or as we move later stages with people roaming around and making rotations.
Yeah, this kind of lane setup, it looks like everyone's farming pretty much equally, but because of the Lich Deny, because of dual lanes, I think the experience will go in favor of DC. Has Lich been able to stack much? Nope, not at all, unfortunately. And even if he did, he's got some oh, I hear an avalanche.
Stun,
And a toss
back.
backwards.
They're going to be able to find him. We also have the rotation on in from the Witch Doctor. There's the Paralyzing Cask. Might need a second bounce. 1-2 right clicks. Is it going to be enough? They kill off the Witch Doctor, but the Wind Ranger falls. All right, we've got Tusk in the area. Can Chuan find a kill? He does have the Snowball. Is going to be able to jump forward and find it. But look at this Tiny with the 3 armor coming out. He's going to be able to survive ice armor. Full effect. Well played there by Biryu to keep his buddy alive.
And then now ATP is back in to refill the bottle and then add a charge on top of that. So Yuara's going to stay nice and healthy here in this mid lane. And that's an early level up of the Ice Armor, which I have no problem with. I think it's an amazing level 1 point wonder. And he's going to be there in time to stack one of the camps. But that's really the only camp he can stack effectively because the other ones are both Mud Golems, which really, really sucks. Those are just the worst. I feel like they're even worse now because they give you the idea that you can take them like, hey, we're not magic immune anymore, but it's like wasting your time even more. Like before you would just neglect them, but now you're like, hey, I can do damage to it, but I really can't.
Yeah, it's a lie. The Mud Golems are a lie.
They are.
We are going to have, again, the Tusk invised up. Maybe going to be able to find Owie, but without a DD, it doesn't seem possible to find the kill there. They might be able to on Tiny. And
Ooh, there's a sentry that's spotting out an invis Tusk right now.
Uh-oh.
Ooh, that could have been. Oh, he's still going to go in anyway.
Going to be able to find and stun now. Not catching both of them. Oh, and the Shackle's going to be there in time. Can they keep him alive? Nice Iris armor, but the final Splinter Blast volley is going to finish him off. No more TP rotations. 4 heroes in the mid lane right now for Root. They're all rotating on in for this, and this is going to leave open bottom lane for TC to keep on getting the farm in. He's currently top of the net worth chart, 2,500, as well as top of the last hits, 35 and 23. 36 now.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Yeah, and they're putting some damage onto this tower too. Like if no one responds to this, they can just easily take it. The creep clearing potential of the gyro and actually the casks from Owie as well, playing the Witch Doctor, is pretty high. And already half HP going down to 1/4 HP. This tower might fall, and no one's responding.
There's so much pressure being placed on this Tiny here. They want to shut him down as much as they can, and
Look at this two-man smoke, though. It's like look how slowly they walk. With a smoke, they're not even breaking 330 movement speed. They're the slowest supports ever. They're not going to get here in time. I guess they have a glyph, but I think it's still going to be too late.
Oh, and Gyrocopter actually did just hit 6 as well, so even if they do show up, it's a little bit scary. All right, there's going to be 1 TP in. Finish that one off. They're going to have a cask, though, to be able to hit onto Derp as well as Stand King if they want to use it. No, all right, 4 heroes here. This is going to be a dead TC, and I think Owie falls as well.
That was a really nice snowball to dodge the casks. They might have been able to do something with that cask bouncing to 2 different heroes, but... Alright, they got a double kill onto their CK, who really needs the farm, but they did lose the tower. They transitioned 4 heroes down there. It's kind of even, but You know, imagine maybe like boots on those heroes
Yeah.
before the smokes. They definitely would have killed them before the tower. Just a little bit of a late response, but they still get something out of it.
Well, and it's only a big problem if you rotate 4 heroes and you don't get a kill. I feel like, considering they were able to get that double, it makes it, in my eyes at least, significantly more worth it. And I don't know. I guess time will tell. We have still seen the CK go 2-0-1 now with the double mango strat and building himself on into, drums here as well. It looks like, as well as a full magic wand. He's ahead of the gyrocopter now. It's been a pretty decent start for him, and
Yeah.
it's a hero that needs that good start as well, though, because he doesn't flash farm like others.
That's a good point. And that's what when he was popular, when Wisp way back in the old days had the stun with his tether, I would see Loda, for example, always build a Midas, which I always thought was great because, like you just mentioned, he doesn't farm very well without, the tool of a Midas. I always hear setup on the side. He's only level 3 though, so it's not like his casks are that impressive. So this might be... if they're going to fight this, they need Clockwork to hit 6, which he's going to after this creep wave. Maybe TP's down there. He doesn't have a lot of mana, though.
Yeah.
So, and he's actually just using a rocket. We'll see. I think that they're actually going to take this tower. I don't think a level 4 Witch Doctor is too scary to set up on. But they are trading perhaps in mid, at least for a little bit of damage.
And I guess the other thing here is they don't know that Aoi is here, which means he can just soak up this experience throughout the entire creep wave and now come on over, get a couple of last hits. And that's somewhat a piece that's nice of this as well. Mid lane, yeah, they're just going to keep on being here. I don't know if they're going to be able to find this kill on Aoi. They're rotating around, actually. If they find a Reality Rift, he is definitely going to die. They're jumping around. They do end up finding Reality Rift. Stun coming on out 3 seconds.
Ooh.
Oh, not going to be able to hit the Splinter Blast, but I don't think it ends up mattering. Maybe it does. No, last right click, they're going to finish him off. Meanwhile, Clockwork in a little bit of trouble. Actually, no, excuse me. The Tusk in a little bit of trouble. He ends up falling top lane. So a trade for a trade. And kind of even back and forth there. Tiny ends up finding a kill as well on the Crystal Maiden. Excuse me for missing that one. Just action all over the map as we're bipping and bopping all over the place here.
I think this is all... Even though the score is 6-3, I think this is definitely favoring DC. They're getting, I think, just overall better trades. I would much rather lose my offlane tower than my safe lane one, especially when you have a clock on your team, because if they decide to switch this up and just have a TC, stay around the safe lane area and then roam the Clockwork to the enemy's safe lane, they have their entire jungle accessed because it's just much easier to get heroes there with no TP rotations from the tier 1, which was missing now. So if they do decide to start rotating that, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for Root to farm. They haven't done that yet. Could be a cause for concern, but Buryu now, level 6, has the Chain Frost available. There is a smoke coming out from the Tusk. If they can burst him down before he casts it, that could be very beneficial.
A lot of DC is here, though. You need to be so careful in this engagement here. We have Buryu on the side, as you mentioned. It looks like they're looking at the gyrocopter, at least for now. They do end up spotting him out. There's the TP away, and going to be playing the safe game here as they all back on up. The Frost Nova ends up coming out a little bit too late. Crystal Nova, excuse me, before they end up finding that Lich.
Yeah, nice play there, and that center ward's going to kill that very, very fresh Ops ward that was just placed. Root playing very, very aggressive right now. Actually, a lot of them are... No, I'm looking at DC. A lot of them are farmed. Like, every member has pretty much got some decent CS under their belt. Wind Ranger is ulting the mid tower. He's got a Mithril Hammer first, possibly a Maelstrom Rush, maybe even a Deso. Yawar doesn't have a clear item yet, but we'll see. They're taking this tower. Here comes the Clock Hook.
Hook shot on in, going to be able to throw the gyrocopter afterwards. Call down on top of everybody, 4-second stun on TC. He's going to be a little bit vulnerable, but at the same time, everybody is keeping him alive off to the side. There's the Witch Doctor holding another toss on in. TC is the scariest little gyrocopter, literally flying through the air as he chases on down his opponents. Not going to be able to actually do find this stun on top of Derp, but he's just going to Arctic Burn away from that one. And this little Splinter Blast as well. Fight recap, a quick 2 kills and nothing coming back the other direction for Root. It was a good engagement.
I don't know what Root were thinking. Like, I felt like they were just kind of inviting that to happen. I don't know what their counterplay to a hookshot is. I guess it's a Tusk Snowball, but without a blink, you have to be basically standing right on top of him, and he wasn't anywhere near. So, yeah, like I said, I think they were just kind of like inviting that to happen.
Yeah. That's, I mean, it's something that you always have to be aware of is the level 6 as it comes up on the clockwork. Maybe you don't end up being able to, you think that you shut him down well enough and there's maybe a lack of communication or something that ends up happening where you don't quite know what level he's at. But at already level 8, you're right, they probably should have been able to be aware of that. Bulba making the plays though, and hookshot back up again. This is going to start to be a very scary time for Root with not a clear way to be able to get out of this.
I do like the bold maneuver, though, of tossing in a gyro with flak and ulti. That was pretty cool. I haven't seen that before. Typically, when you have toss combos, it's like you said, techies or like a Slardar or a Centaur that doesn't have a blink dagger. It's like a poor man's blink dagger, but not a gyro. You don't normally see a gyro with a blink dagger, although that could be fun.
Yeah, definitely. And at the end, he ended up getting stunned by the Chaos Knight. But that's again a problem where you don't have the damage to be able to follow it up. At this point in time, CK doesn't have his ulti yet. So while he does deal 100 damage per his right clicks, all he really has to offer right now is the ability to get up close on somebody, which is really much more about picking somebody off rather than actually being able to be a huge presence in these team fights. Once he ends up getting his ulti up, I think things change, and also particularly with the change to Chaos Strike where you lower down the enemy armor, that can be very relevant. But as for now, God, DC are just looking so strong. They're on fire. They might be able to take Route 3-0 to go on to the summit here. This is amazing.
Yeah, it would be very, very good for them to, as a team, to boost their morale. Qualifying for their actual first LAN is pretty neat. With the Blink Dagger up on Yawar, that could be the start of it. I love this build on the Tiny. I really think it's the best build right now. And he's scouting them out. I thought he was going to toss forward, but didn't quite have the vision uphill. But yeah, he's pretty damn scary right now.
Particularly with
He can
that
combo
DD.
off, I think, anybody except for the Chaos Knight.
Yeah. It's a terrifying big rock man. Halfway through the DD as well, he's hitting for 300 damage a pop. And, he has that bottle. So the problem, of course, that you end up running into with Tiny is 1, attack speed, and 2, mana regeneration. And that's what the Wisp ends up solving. So I want to see how he's going to solve these problems. Is there going to be enough with just the bottle, do you think? Or does he need some other mana regeneration source here?
I think the bottle is fine. It looks like, I'm not sure he commits to the full drums with the bracer. The problem with this build, and I love this build, this is exactly what I usually go for. Oh, I hear a Tusk Punch onto Owie. It looks like Owie's going to fall. Or is he? He's pretty tanky with that heal, but Hook potentially? No, there's 5 members there. They don't want to go anything for that, but the only problem you run into this build, as it's a great build, is that you run out of item slots. So if you do get the Magic Stick, which you have to get the bottle, you have to get the Blink, you need a spot for TP Scroll. The Bracer, if you do go into drums, you're going to have to sell your Magic Wand anyway, so it seems like a waste of gold, potentially for your Ag Scepter later. So I don't know if he fully goes into the drums. I don't think it's a bad thing if he does, but he probably just goes straight into the Ags is my guess.
Oh, and this kill could be huge right now. If they're going to be able to find this, hookshot on in was a little bit sloppy there, but it's still going to end up being a kill. They didn't end up connecting with the stun. It didn't end up mattering. Huge. Lich ends up actually getting the last hit in that engagement, but this is a hero that cannot fall behind, particularly in a game like this where you're going to have the pressure applied to you constantly. And take a look at the vision real quick right now that you're seeing out of DC. It's just tremendous. They're seeing everything that's going on all across the map, and they're going to jump on forward and maybe catch 747 here. With no hookshot, it doesn't look like they're going to be able to find him.
Root definitely need fast BKBs ASAP, and I'm a little bit worried that Chaos Knight is going for these build-up items beforehand. I know it's kind of like a stigma and a bad thing to be rushing BKBs, but against this kind of lineup from DC where 100% of their damage right now is all magic, with a little bit of exception to the Death Ward, you have to have that magic immunity, or you're just not going to be able to do anything. Another Blinken, toss coming out onto the Wind Ranger, disintegrated.
Will end up falling, but maybe Tiny a little bit caught out. Everybody is here, though. Oh, the Chain Frost going to start to bounce around. Do they end up finding a kill with it? No, not quite. Derp still in the area, is going to be able to turn around, apply a good amount of this debuff to Bulba, as well as Yawar. They need to back on out now, I think, though, because DC is just so strong. The fact they were able to burst down that Wind Ranger at the start of this fight, if Root get the initiation onto DC instead and take out that Tiny early, that's a completely different situation. Meanwhile, Not going to be able to find the Tusk with the Avatos combo. Did end up just throwing out that Avalanche and waiting for these Ice Shards. It's a little bit awkward, but still going to be fine, at least for now, as they wait for a second initiation point.
Ooh, very nice Ice Charge for like the 3rd time in a row.
Stun?
4 seconds stun. Here comes the ulti there from Aoi. Reality ripped it though. Could be a minor setback here. A little bit of an overextension there from Yawar, but some really nice shards coming out from Schwan. Perfectly placed every single time.
And Aoi is just going to be buying time for his team right now, as he is going to end up dying. The rest of them get on out, so a little bit unfortunate there. You kind of wonder, had they just backed up after taking out the Wind Ranger and winning that first engagement, if this goes a little bit better. But still, they're in a very commanding position. I think that that's what you need to do right now if you're Root, and maybe coming on in and stealing off this stack is the next part of this little plan here. It's not a huge lead for DC right now, only 2,000 gold as well as, well, about 4,000 experience. This can come back certainly. Games have been thrown from less.
Yeah, absolutely. This is, I mean, that's a pretty big jump too. Like, it's heading in the way of even territory in terms of net worth, from 3,000 going its way towards 0. And I mean, pushing up high ground is a completely different thing. So if you feel mentally you're ahead and you try to get a little overzealous and try to go for some kind of crazy high ground play just because one core hero is dead, it can really, really backfire onto you, especially against good high ground defense like the Winter Wyvern, like the Wind Ranger. And the big thing that we saw there too multiple times is that being able to be split up from your team by something as simple as an Ice Shards is really, really devastating. So again, that Tuskar play was on point, and those Ice Shards were very accurate.
I'm just going to mention real quickly, Aoi immediately pinging out, walking to the areas and de-warding 2 wards that were just now placed here as well, knowing exactly where the vision was and what they needed to do. They've been doing a really good job of constricting the vision of Root, and right now they only have this one other ward that's sitting up here to the side, and everything else is just in complete and total vision control for DC. Nothing has been de-warded at this point, it feels like. Now, here's a question that I have for you for Tiny.
Jeez.
Given that you said that this build doesn't end up working as well as they're taking out Roshan with the DD, it runs into problems with item slots. Is this
Right.
going to be something that limits him in the late game, or is this still going to be an okay scaling later?
Oh no, it's fine late game. It's just he's going to have to give up something, whether it's a little bit of stats with a Bracer or a TP scroll, but now it's going to have to be both, unless he doesn't take the Aegis. So yeah, no, it's going to be fine. He's going to have to sell his Bracer for a TP and probably keep that Magic Stick, because he's definitely going to need his TP. But late game, it doesn't really matter. He's going to get bots eventually. Might not even need them if they start to snowball hard enough.
Okay.
I was going to mention one thing, and I think it just totally slipped my mind. But I was going to say, it looks like the supports are... Oh no, Derp has found a lot more farm this game. He's playing... I think he plays typically the hard 5, but he's ahead of his offlaner right now in the Tusk.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, farm obviously not the most important part of this hero, but being also able to find those levels is really key. Like, he's the 5th highest leveled hero in the game right now, and you know, gonna be able to get that Winter's Curse off. Do you think that you just go straight Blink Dagger here, just to be able to find that initiation point, or is that covered enough by the other heroes that you have en route?
I think the Glimmer Cape would be really good, just for the more reason that they have so much magic burst. It's not even actually a burst damage. It's other than the tiny, it's all kind of coming out slowly. Right. You see the Chain Frost coming, you see the call down coming. So Glimmer Cape would be very, very good. But obviously Blink, if he wants that initiation. It does seem like they're lacking super fast initiation. They have no Blink Dagger up on the Wind Ranger. She went for a different build with the Maelstrom Rush into Ags, so they don't have that super fast, you know, Shackle Shot initiation. Tuskar's initiation's pretty slow. One of the problems with Chaos Knight innately is that while he has a very nice stun once it hits, it travels so slowly and the windup is just bad.
Oh, they're going to be
I
able
hear a
to
call
find
down.
the Tusk. Yeah, he's snowballing, but to what end is really what I'm asking. He is going to end up falling. Meanwhile, Root, realizing this, are immediately going to try and push on out the mid lane as well as keep that top lane pushed out, because if they don't, then you're just going to be able to keep on going here as DC. And even with the Aegis, part of me wonders if they play the sort of more aggressive go for high ground now, or if they want to just back on out, play more conservatively and go for tier 2s. I guess with only 15 seconds left on the Tusk, it's a bit much to ask to go for high ground.
Yeah, it's pretty scary going high ground against Winter Wyvern and the Wind Ranger. Man, I would love to see him getting farmed this game, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. CM, if he can actually farm like a Blink, a Glimmer, and an Ags. I know it's a ton of farm on a lowly CM, but if you get it, man, the damage is real.
Yeah.
The damage of that ultimate is really, really insane.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely one of those game changing items. I think the answer is just you don't buy wards. Why not? Just they're bad items. Wards are bad items, confirmed. But Witch Doctor is going to be going for an Aghanims as well. Still a long ways away from being able to pick it up, but something that's going to be relevant in the late game as well. It just feels like DC's lineup, while Winter Wyvern as well as Wind Ranger, they're great heroes scaling late into the game. With the CM there, BKB's coming online later. It feels like DC might scale a little bit stronger.
Yeah, and I really like the Witch Doctor paired with the Clockwork, just because your problem with Witch Doctor is you're trying to find the part of the team fight where you can go unnoticed while casting the Death Ward. As hard as that might sound, but Clockwork kind of he forces the other team to focus him, whether they want to focus him down, but he's the focal point of that fight once he hooks in. Oh, the Blink Toss coming out. There's a snowball. There's an ulti from Aoi.
Witch Doctor, they're going to be able to get the Winter's Curse down. I don't think this kills TC, and with the healing going throughout the entire course of it, Aoi having that urn as well, they're just going to be able to shrug this one on off. They've got the Alpha Wolf creep, they've got the creep wave coming on in, and while we do have a push on in this bottom lane, Clockwork actually, they might end up TPing on over and trying to take him out in a second. They do have the hook shot if they want to use it. Oh, it doesn't quite hit, unfortunately.
That's going to mean push stopped because they don't have the Clockwork. The other hero that they were chasing now TP'd back, and no hook shot available, so kind of unfortunate there. I don't even know. I guess he has a Blade Mill. I don't know if he gets the kill, though. I think he can just wait for the Blade Mill. That could have been bad, but...
I was wondering if maybe they were going to try and TP on in one of the other heroes to finish him off, maybe. Like, you can sort of extend the engagement because you're not going to be able to TP out as the CK, maybe. But yeah, with the the level 2 ulti up, definitely could have been a little bit scary.
Yeah, because, the Blade Mail, it is scary, but with that ultimate up, it's going to be kind of divvied among your replicates. So that could have actually potentially been bad for Bulba, but anyway, no harm, no foul. The Gyro is just so farmed. It looks like TC's had a very, very good series. Been farmed every single game, very minimal mistakes. He's almost got a BKB now.
Yeah. Well, and the issue that I feel like we've been seeing with DC in the past hasn't necessarily been in any individual skill problem. It's been being cohesive as a unit and working together effectively. And it seems like they've solved, well, I don't want to say solved necessarily, commentators curse, but,
Oh, they're losing this game now.
Been able to have some type of... I don't know, maybe a heart-to-heart together or something it's brought it on back, and they're looking incredibly strong throughout the past couple of games that I've been seeing them play. Witch Doctor, the lone person out, but everybody is there to back him on up. Can they burst him down in time? Looks like they're going to get the long-duration stun. Winter's Curse on top of Biryu. They do get the Clockwork Hook, though, off to the side. Blade Mail going pretty strong as well. CM ulti there, call down as well. It does look like the CM's going to be able to survive throughout it. Bulba getting away on absolutely nothing. We do have a power shot is going to hit and finally kill him on off. Tusk also escaping on almost nothing. So 2 heroes dead on the side of Root, along with 3 heroes dead on the side of DC. Jump forward, not able to catch, as we do see the TPs out by the Wind Ranger.
Ooh, it was a 3-for-3. It should have been a 4-for-3 in favor of DC, but TC wasn't expecting. I think there was like 15 or 10. It can only be 10 actually, because he doesn't have the upgraded magic stick. But he auto-attacked and then moved away because he wasn't expecting the stick. So nice bait of the with the stick charge there from the Tuskar, and actually it saves his life as a result. So to tip to everyone out there, if you're running away, try to use your stick at the last possible second, because even pro players will sometimes forget about that, and they will like. It's almost a cocky move where it's like I get the kill and I walk away. It's like the old, that picture where it's like you're cooler if you don't look at the explosion behind you. Yeah. That's exactly what this is.
Yeah, well, and certainly DC are feeling pretty good, feeling a little bit comfortable with walking away from that one. I mean, there's the argument as well that it's just sort of like more efficient because then you can get onto the next target quicker, but that's kind of
course, yeah.
bull malarkey. I'm going to say that. Just because
it was also just a great play by Tusk. Like, he used it at the very last second. Yeah. And I thought for sure that he was going to kill him because he had the wolf right next to him, so he had the added damage.
Yeah.
I mean, he's hitting with the wolf for 150 plus.
Mm-hmm. Well, key things to keep in mind in this game. This last little team fight, I think, oh god, they're going to be able to find out this Lich. Walrus punch down immediately. Can they kill? Yeah, 4 second stun. This is going to be a dead Lich. So beyond just him dying, Witch Doctor is getting ever closer to the Aghanim Scepter, 1,400 gold away from finishing that one off. Let's take a look at that fight recap real quickly. Nice little 1,000 gold swing. So while DC, I think, won that team fight, I think that Root feel comfortable trading pretty much no matter what to extend this game on a little bit longer. The Blink Dagger has been the one that Winter Wyvern purchased, so opting for a little bit more of initiation instead of trying to save the teammates. Chaos Knight finished off his armlet a little while ago. Tusk also has a Blink Dagger. Wind Ranger went for a Blink Dagger after Aghanim Scepter instead of the Shadow Blade that we saw in that first game. Anything else that's really feeling to you like it's going to be very important in these fights?
For which team?
Items on either side, honestly. Maybe the mechanism on Lich?
Mechanism on that's kind of that feels like a good item but not essential.
Okay.
Clockwork, his arsenal is fine. Obviously would like to have an Ags. Tiny's got basically his core items. I think the biggest thing for DC is going to be the Ags on Witch Doctor.
Okay.
And but yeah, the big thing too is, like I said last time, is that when Clock goes in, he is the focal point. Then Witch Doctor can kind of cast his ult, not feel too scared about anyone turning on him. Although there are a ton of stuns to cancel it on the side of Root, but that's DC's big item in terms of Root. I think it needs to be this BKB on the CK, which I think is flying out. Yeah, it's flying out now. That's
Okay.
the big item for Root. And I was going to say Blink Dagger on Tusk, but he actually stopped mid-mech and went for that, which I think is the right decision. Blink Dagger now up on the Wind Ranger. I think Root have all the items they need to, and DC is very, very close to having that Ags on Witch Doctor.
What
I
do
don't
you
think they want to fight until they get it.
What do you think about the choice to go for all of these Blink Daggers as opposed to going for a Force Staff to be able to get away the Clockwork? There's no Force Staffs right now on Root's team. Oh god, we have a 3-man smoke on over though. We'll hold that thought. There is going to be the BKB charge committed for this one. They are going to be able to use the call down. Lots of Chain Frost. All of a sudden, all those illusions are gone. Tossing on out, still alive on nothing. Armlet toggling for victory. Might be able to survive a little bit longer. Tiny does end up falling. Now as well, going to be able to turn around on Lich. Root might be able to really turn this one around. The TM ulti was channeling for a long time. Blade Mail going. It does look like TC might get taken down. Double kill for the Wind Ranger, and now going to be able to chase on down Bola. Triple there. So they end up losing another hero.
Ultra?
Can they get the Ultra? Do it one time. Nicely done there. 747, finishing him off on a full team wipe. And just like that, with Roshan being available, Root Gaming are looking in a very strong position.
Maybe they can take this Roshan with some armlet toggling too from Willis. Double buyback. You just get out of there.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they can take Roshan right now because these heroes, Tiny doesn't. He takes a lot of damage actually from Roshan still with not very much armor. He's got 10, but it's not like a ton. Gyro can't do it. His damage isn't high enough, so they just use 2 buybacks to prevent it. Although maybe they can. I think if you're Root, you need to just regen as soon as possible, ready to fight. But that BKB couldn't have come out at any better of a time. Like, that was just perfect for Willis. Really good armlet toggling, as you mentioned. Great shackle shot there from Wind Ranger, too. Very, very big fight in favor of Team Root.
And you mentioned you didn't think that they could fight until Witch Doctor had his Ags, and he didn't end up having it in that last engagement.
He wasn't even really there for most of the fight, was he? He was kind of like off on the side, fighting like some other fight. I'm not sure, but the main fight was over here to the left inside the trees.
All right, well, it looks like they're going to reinitiate. Oh, God. If they... Honestly, I'm a little bit worried about DC taking a fight right now, because after the buyback, if you end up dying back now... I mean, CK ulti isn't back up. They're going to find each other. Bulba in the middle of all of them. CM ulti going off again. Bulba eliminated from this one. TC BKB popped, but are they going to be able to take him on down? I don't know. All right, the Witch Doctor ulti getting channeled. They haven't found a kill in all of this. The buyback by the Clockwork. There's the Winter's Curse on top of TC. Willie Z might end up getting dropped here. Can they finally finish him off? 3-second stun on top of Tiny, and he's going to end up dying back. Now Owie dropping again. Walrus Punch him on up as well. They're trying to be able to find some type of kill onto something, but I think they need to disengage. All right, Bulba might be able to find this kill on 747, is going to try and chase him on down, and they do finally take him out. But if he ends up getting killed off in the middle of all this, it's going to be a dieback for him as well. All right, no, it looks like they're okay right now. They were able to salvage it. Gyrocopter's strong enough. Still, though, this is really worrying for DC.
Really kind it was a hard decision there from Willis. He had the urn onto him while his armlet was still on. I think if the armlet toggled right away, it actually would have gone down to a certain amount of HP where it wasn't lethal from the urn. But unfortunately, he waited too long, and then any armlet toggling would have just screwed it, and he tried it, and he died to the urn. So if he lived there, it would have been a huge win there for Root. They did get the massive streak there on the Wind Ranger, though, and Clock didn't die. So that's going to be a ton of gold there for Bulba, as I'm assuming he's going to be going towards the Ags now. Oh, he did buy back, actually.
Yeah, he bought back to get back into the fight, I think, because he was dead when it started. That's craziness. That's 3 buybacks expended in the course of about, 5 minutes, roughly, for DC. And while it's not as important as the later stages of the game, it's still very, very, very relevant. I mean, they have tier 2s still up. I worry about if they take and lose one more big fight, what ends up happening from there. They don't seem to want to be giving up Roshan at all, and considering how much they've been able to make use of those Aegises and prioritizing them in the previous games, this seems to be a very central part of their draft, and making sure that it ends up being prioritized over and over again.
One other thing, too, about that last fight, and I'll leave it, but it was kind of unfortunate. Yawar tossed backwards the BKB CK, but he was getting just pummeled by the Death Ward by Owie, and I think it actually saved him initially from that, which was kind of unfortunate. You can toss back people that are BKB'd as long as it's to a target. You can't toss themselves. If you have no target to, target acquired, that's such a weird term to say. I feel so weird saying that. But if you have no target to toss him to, then you can't do it. But he did, and he kind of saved him as a result. It was just kind of a funny interaction.
Most definitely. Well, 747 now going to have the BKB up on the Wind Ranger. We are going to be building towards that Glimmer Cape on Derp Derp. And as you mentioned, getting this extra bit of farm, getting closer and closer to this item, it's going to make a big difference. Witch Doctor just now finishing off his Aghanim Scepter, and it looks like they're going to be committing to take this Roshan. And while this is a great positioning for Owie to be up on this cliff, it is one of those positions where you kind of would expect the Witch Doctor to be up there a little bit. I'm wondering if a Sigil goes up, followed up by a Snowball, and they just get on top of him, if maybe they even lose that engagement without the Witch Doctor ulti. So they're pushing out the top lane, trying to secure off as much as they can, and we do have the rotation by Derp Derp. I don't know, who do you favor in this next set of team fights here, or is it all going to come down positioning?
It really does come down to positioning, because if they don't stop this Death Ward, he's going to kill them all. It's just as simple as that. He should get spotted by the Sigil, but there can be some panic involved too, where you're focusing on other things. Someone like a tiny blinks in, and then you're just focusing on him, or of course like the Clockwork hooks in, and you're focusing on him. Can be a little bit scary though if he was able to get caught out up there and he has no escape because he has no force. I'm guessing Clock just forced him up himself.
Yeah.
Or he got tossed in some weird way, but probably just forced up there.
The other thing I'll mention real quickly about this, positioning-wise, when the Sigil was up on this cliff there, they weren't able to spot out the Witch Doctor, and if they move it into the pit, they might be leery to do that because of the fact that it's going to get focused down and killed, and if it's in the middle of the pit, I don't know if it sees Owie over here on the far side of the cliff. Something that will be interesting to spot out. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing they could do is this: if you do go into Roshan, it's very common to just place a ward right here in the main ward spot, and if they do that, they will see him. So that's one thing you do have to be careful of. I was just gonna say, if you put a sentry up there, then you'll know as soon as they get the ward grants the vision of Owie sitting up there. Again, if they find him, smoke has popped. They know that they're standing here. They might cast the Sigil. Or they know he's up there. He has no escape. This is what I was talking about.
God. All right, Chain Frost's going to come on out, connecting onto several, but Owie is going to end up falling.
Actually.
Oh, God, he ended up channeling the ulti. That's down, so even if he bought back right now, and he does not have buyback, so it wouldn't have mattered anyways, it looks like they're going to be able to take this Roshan potentially.
See, if that was his own Force Staff, it's no harm, no foul, but because it was someone else's and he has no other escape, he just is screwed up there. So I was a little bit worried for him regarding that situation.
Well, and you'd expect them to be able to be sticking around. Like, they're trying to push out those lanes, I think, to make sure that they could take it, but not anticipating Root moving forward, I guess.
Yeah, it was just kind of a weird idea, and also he, like you said, he did use the ulti, so now if he comes back, he's still not going to have that. We might see some kind of snipe thing coming out here from Bulba. This is definitely a good opportunity to try to get this Aegis. I think they can actually maybe take this.
Oh, there's Tiny jumping on in. The Winter's Curse immediately committed for him. He does end up popping the BKB as well. This does look like Tiny is going to end up going down. Killed by Roshan, actually. Nice deny there. 747 up on the high ground, trying to stay away from everybody else. It does look like TC. Oh, the CK able to get the Aegis, taking it away. Nicely done there, also getting the kill off on him. It does look like Wind Ranger is separated from the rest of the herd, is going to fall to Bulba in the end. Actually, everybody from Root is going down right now. Derp Derp is going to fall also. What is this initiation? Can they take on down the CK, though? Burning through a second life. It does look like it might end up happening. He ends up falling. Witch Doctor gets that kill. DC turning it back around after what was a little bit of a scary couple of moments there.
Radiant's top tower.
They did use the buyback on the Tiny, but they also used the buyback on the Wind Ranger, who got nothing out of it either. So problem with CK is he's not a good Roshan fighter, because if all your illusions die to Roshan instantly, kind of, you know, stifles the whole idea of the hero. And that's what happened. He lost all his illusions and thus lost all of his fighting power.
Did he attack Roshan accidentally with his illusions?
Yeah, like when you pop it, they kind of auto-attack in the area. And if they touch Roshan, they just die, and that's what happened. And that's like all of his damage, basically, right?
Yeah.
So despite him taking the Aegis and getting the credit for the kill, he just had no fighting power.
And I guess there, if you don't pop the, if you don't pop your ulti beforehand, maybe you don't get the kill on Roshan, or you're able to be focused away from it. Snowball forward. This could be devastating right now. Call down to zone out everybody else, and it looks like Tusk is going to fall. Just really good, not quite able to time it out with those shards absolutely perfectly. CM is going to move forward, but DC are starting to look in a really good position. Huge shackle there, if they're able to turn back around. But there's the Witch Doctor ulti starting to zone everybody out there. 747 caught off as well with the hook shot. Lizzie trying to armlet toggle away and is going to make his way out of there. Another shackle, not going to connect this time. So Tiny falls, but as does the mid barracks, both of them. Tier 2 tower still up top. None down in the bottom lane. Big win for DC. They're looking really good right now.
You know, TC's been playing very consistently this series, just like a rock. Like he just hasn't been making, hasn't been making crazy plays, but he's just been solid with his farm and his positioning, and it's been paying off. Obviously, they're up 2-0, ready to close out game number 3, and it looks like Root are kind of just choking a little bit. Like they had a good handle on that. Unfortunately, I popped the ulti a little bit too early, and you didn't get to use the illusions from Chaos Knight. Also, the Tusk there at the end, snowballing, but by himself, and just kind of fed himself for no reason. Yeah. They're down only one set of racks. It's not the end of the world. They still have Wind Ranger, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So, still in it, but definitely a big victory. And I do have to say, the Tiny is extremely underfarmed, and that was a dieback for him, too.
Definitely.
So, he's got Blink, Ags, he did go for the drums, and now working towards the BKB, but that's, I mean, he's 3,000 under the CK, who really has no farming capabilities outside of simple auto attacks.
Well, we'll see. The next item that's going to be coming up for Willis as well is going to be that heart. And if you get that, that's, I think, something that will really make a huge difference, because you're just all of a sudden so much more tanky. You've got the ability to dole out more damage because it's all dealing damage based upon your stats. Such a great item on this hero.
Exactly. That's the key point, is that it gives you the direct strength gain from the heart, and then your illusions just benefit specifically off of that. So you just want your auto attack damage up, and then they hit like a truck. So it's really good.
Tusk is going to end up falling here again. There was a moment where it looked like he could have potentially blinked on out, but again, he's going to be going back on into DC here and not able to blink out. Unfortunate that they end up losing him, and now they have a full creep wave. I mean, the top lane is pushing. They need to be very aware of the Wind Ranger, but she actually TP's back, so now no more pressure is going to be applied to this top lane. I think that DC are comfortable pushing on in here. They probably would be regardless, even if the Wind Ranger was up in the top lane. But it looks like this might be falling soon. Tusk, unfortunately, does not have buyback. Only hero in the game that does right now is the Gyrocopter. They're going to look for some type of initiation. There's going to be the Reality Rift as well as the Winter's Curse, but Force Staff away, keeping them alive. 747 starting to burst through TC. The BKB is popped for both sides now. Bulba's starting to drop very low. Here's the Witch Doctor ulti. It's going to start hitting absolutely everybody, as is the Chain Frost. They're all dead. Oh, good game, well played. Ends up getting called, and DC take it 3-0 to move on to the Summit 4. They are going to be your American team, the American Hope, in the American Studio in Los Angeles, December 9th through 13th, I believe. Goodness gracious.
Well, congratulations to them, as I believe this is their first actual land that they've qualified for, right? I mean, they went to Nanyang, but that was through a substitute
Right.
from Cloud9, so, and they've earned it. I mean, I've been watching them a lot, and a lot of people question their abilities, but they seem like they're playing a lot better. I have to say that confidently. I think they're just playing a lot better as a team. Specifically TC, like I know he played Gyre every single game, and that hero just kind of it's like monkey see, monkey do. It's you watch how it's played, you play it. There's not really much variance in how to play the hero, but I still think he played it well. I mean,
Totally.
he performed very well all 3 games, and Aoi with a humongous death ward in the last fight, on top of a very, very good Lich chain. And I think Buryu's decision to use the chain there, even though it was on a BKB Chaos Knight, because it was killing all of Chaos Knight's illusions, just rendered him again useless, despite him just picking up that heart there. So very well played. A very clean, easy series here for DC.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing more of it as we continue to go forward. It does seem like this team has the pieces to be able to make it happen. They've shown that they're capable, and we'll see where they go from here. Tralf, thank you so much for joining me with this series. It's always nice to have a very experienced and knowledgeable person along with me in the ride.
Absolutely.
Absolutely great to have you here. Any final shout outs, call outs, anything you got going there?
Oh, just shout out to DC for winning, and thanks to you personally also, and thanks to Gods
Oh.
for messaging me as well. It was a fun series to cast.
Most definitely. All right, well, that's going to do it for us now. We are going to find out the final results for the rest of the Summit 4 qualifiers that are going to be coming up. I believe we have China later on tonight, and Europe is going to be tomorrow. These are all going to be best of fives, so keep an eye out. There's going to be coming on up on this channel, I believe, for both of those other series. And I will put a couple of informational things up on the stream before we end up going. So thanks again, and that's going to do it for us. See you guys next time.